Why can't I hear anything?
Hello.
Oh, there we go. Hi.
Perfect. I just wanted to quickly introduce you to my interpreter. The top interpreter is Jill. She will be interpreting for me. And the bottom interpreter Maria, and she will be interpreting for you. And this is Keith, a costume designer for Hallmark. So I wanted to say thank you for coming on to the Cat Chat podcast tonight and talk about your experience as a costume designer for a couple of movies that had aired this year and last year.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, first, I want to know about how did you get into costume design and how did you get into costume business? How did it all start?
It started in college. I actually have a business degree from an art school, and the film program, if you go to film school, you want to do like directing and camera and writing and editing, more technical things. And those students just never wanted to do the costumes for student films. So my friend and I would do it for fun. And then I graduated with my business degree and I didn't have a job. And I had some professors and things in college that had connections and they knew somebody that was looking for a costumes intern. So I moved to New York in like a day and fell into the business and I really never stopped. It all went from there. And I just kept going and I really fell in love with the process of it as well as the design. So that TV career in costumes led to theater and then into film, and now I do all three. I'm actually working on a little theater project right now, and then hopefully jumping right back into film in the new year.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I was watching the podcast episode with my sister. Do you Hallmark? So I was like, the way you guys were talking, and just the way you were talking about Biltmore Christmas and how beautiful the costumes were. And I know you were at the end of the movie, you were one of the sailors,
I was, yeah.
train station. So, but I know this is a really popular movie. I would like to talk more about Biltmore Christmas and how did you get into it and what kind of research or what kind of method you do for having an overall picture of cartoon back in 1943, no, 43, and present of the whole Biltmore Christmas.
I like how you talk about the whole picture because I talk about what I do as making it a painting, and color is really important for that. So I got the call in October, and which is great because I was able to sit on the information for a long time because we didn't start filming until January. So I had a couple months just to think about it. And I immediately went and grabbed my costume books and looking at lots of images online and reading about the different tailoring of men's suits. Because men's suits, there's elements that are always the same, even to today, but it's things like the size of the lapel and the size of the tie and the size of the collar. So I was really digging into all of those details and watching a lot of 1940s movies. And I personally love old catalogs and advertisements that have illustrations, as well as photos. And then I get into digging and finding things in person. So I'm going to rental houses and they're in really crazy places like barns and warehouses and you're looking at things in real life and you're looking at things like your color palette. So looking at like the party scenes, like we don't want the background to stand out too much from our leading people. So it's all thinking about the color and the color palette and the space you're in. Um, all of those aspects mixed with the characters and the characters' development. So it's looking at character arcs as well as color arcs. Um, and I prepped it in New York City in December, and then we trucked it all down to Biltmore, North Carolina, and we got rolling, I think, a week into this year, like the first week of January. And yeah, it was a crazy week of all 1940s fittings. And it came out really great. I mean, everybody's so thrilled and excited about it, and it's been an awesome response to hear, especially all the love for the clothes, because I that's what I love. And it's so important to help sell the period. Um, and you mentioned too the contemporary clothes as well, and that's just fun and easy, and it's very like the Hallmark look. I don't want to say it's easy, but um, it's contemporary. It's easy in comparison to period. And that's fun to like mix it up too. And also that helps show both worlds really well because we are in the same house and the house looks the same. So the clothes really and like the set pieces, like the film equipment, really help sell the 1940s.
Just a beautiful cartoon and how it fit really well at the time period. Like when I watched the movie for the first time, I was actually lost. I was like, okay, what's going on here? Before there was the movie thing, and now she's back to where she was, and I go back again, watch
Mhm.
them. Oh, the time travel with that little hourglass thing. So, for each of the movies, did you have like the movie the budget did they get you kind specific kind of budget or to try to keep it within the budget with cartoon runters or making the cartoon or purchasing the cartoon and hopefully it will be redo in other concept movies.
So I look at my budgets kind of as like an all-in number just because some things cost more than other things. Um, and we like there's things like cleaning and tailoring and all the things you mentioned are what we do. We rent, we buy. There's lots of great online websites that have vintage. And sometimes we kind of make them. It takes a long time to actually make clothes. I think people really forget about that. So I don't really have too much time. I did get to make Lacey's dress for Scotland, which was nice. But it's rare. It's really rare. We didn't really get to do any full builds for Biltmore. But I did like, for example, there's a cape that she wears in the garden, and there was this big stain on it. And but other than that, it was like pristine. And so what we did was we kind of did an adjustment on the front, and we got just enough fabric to do a design detail to cover the stain. So it's doing like little tweaks like that, especially with vintage clothes. Like they're, you never know. It's like they're like 90% beautiful, but it's just kind of like getting over those like little like stains that come with age and stuff. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's always, even on the biggest jobs, there's always the money question. And it always comes down to budget, which is why my business degree comes in really handy. And I'm really grateful to know some amazing people with amazing pieces that help me out when I'm in a pinch and stuff like that. And sometimes I always think those challenges are just more opportunity for creative opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. I really like Bethany Joy drop at the end with the Christmas ball. I was that is she stunning in that drop. And same thing with Lacey in a very college Christmas. Definitely beautiful cartoon. Um, out of all, how many movies have you done cartoon so far? Because I remember you obviously the Biltmore Christmas, a very college Christmas just don't to Lacey and Scotland. And Where Are You Christmas? And last year's Holiday Spectacular. Any more movies have you done?
Um, I
Um,
did Mystic Christmas this year.
yeah,
I think 2 years ago I did Next Stop Christmas and Sugarplum Twist. And yeah, so I've done seven for Hallmark and I think 13 or 14 Christmas movies overall, and probably like 17, 18 films. I don't know, I lose count. But I have over like 30 something credits in film and television. And then you
I
add
had
TV.
the most recent annual I recall Mr. Christmas and Next Stop Christmas and the Sugar Plum Fairy. All of them spectacular movies and the costumes are amazing. The out of all the movies were any of the costumes kind of like mismatch or redo for like a short moment or for specific.
I've reused stuff here and there on, but like not normally on leading characters because I want it to look different. I don't want it to look like it's been seen before. But yeah, I mean, I definitely recycle coats and jeans and things, and they all get laundered and then they come out and they're usually on like a background. So it's fun. The more I get to do, the more the collection grows and the more, and Hallmark loves its bright and colorful, joyful colors. So the more of that I have at my hands is great to be able to create that storybook world that everybody loves. I always say they started as a card company, so you want it to be like opening a card and being like, oh, that's so cute, like and like bright and colorful, and it takes you out of reality. So I really like to try to do that with the clothes as well.
Robert out about the movie or the job at the cartoon designer. What was the most challenging project or challenging cartoon? What happened? Well, now what happened? Well, if something goes wrong, how to do address it or how to cover it up?
Things always go wrong. They never really go according to planned. So it's funny every day at the end of the day, my team and I make a plan, and then by the morning it totally doesn't matter anymore, so we have to completely redo it. So it's always, I always tell people in this business you have to be really flexible because things change constantly. The biggest challenge for me is probably the time. I mean, we get these going in 3 weeks. I usually have about 2.5 weeks of prep, and then we shoot them really quick. So the days are fast and long, and I have multiple cast members changing, like sometimes up to like 5 or 6 times a day. So and that's in between scenes. So we always have to be on it, both on set and off, because we're always with the actors. So that's a big challenge. And being able to be as much at 100% at hour 16 on a day is like very difficult.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Like I'm trying to like think behind the scenes, like between movie tapes and how the costume designer wanted you on your team and how they were able to draft up the actor, make sure everything's okay, okay, good, 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 okay, go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I can't imagine everything. I know everything not perfect, not perfect. Great, go on the first try of the week. Come back over here, we got it wrong. So any like bloopers or any experience where you kind of like forget something or no, just go with the flow. Maybe they won't notice anything. Hopefully,
Normally it's me that's like worried about like, oh, I forgot a bracelet or oh, I forgot something. It's usually stuff that no one knows about or notices or probably cares about. Um, because always like the main things are there. But something funny from Biltmore is on day one, we saw those clothes on the mannequins in the tour. And uh Colton, who plays Claude, his pants were too small to fit the mannequin. So the mannequin pants are different than his pants. So then when we took the clothes off the mannequin and gave him those clothes, the pants were too big, but we didn't have time. So I just stuck a pin in it. But then when we see him later actually filming His Merry Wife, his pants are actually the right size. But you don't notice because of movie magic.
yeah, I'm not gonna like go in front of the TV. But, oh, that what keep
Yeah.
talking about. Okay, another question about the Biltmore Christmas. How did it happen? How did you get like a part to become one of the sailors at the train station where Jack and Lucy tried to get what's her name? I can't.
Ava.
Yeah, come back to the movie. Thank you.
Um, so with uniforms, I don't like to get too many of them just because they're so specific and so expensive. So casting gave us their 4 guys, and we called LA and we were like, just send us these sizes, that's it. So we got them. And then like a week went by and then some person canceled. So we had told casting just find somebody in this size. Well, they couldn't find anybody in that size with that availability. So then it kind of became a joke that I would do it. And then the director loved it. So then we did it. And it actually was fun and it's cute. And I did like the costume. And um, so yeah, it sucks up a lot of my day to do it, but it is cool to like see people's reaction about it.
Yeah, isn't that cute? I'm looking back and forth. I'm listening. The neighbor in a spotlight moment on Biltmore Christmas. Do you have a favorite project or a project that a good memory?
I mean, my two favorite Hallmarks, well, they're hard. I mean, my first one's always my favorite, because that was a Back to the Future reunion. I love Spectacular and Biltmore because they're period movies. I mean, one of my favorite memories was filming on stage at Radio City Music Hall, just because that's could be a once in a lifetime opportunity and thing. And it's such a historical stage where so many people have performed and had amazing, like if those walls could talk. Um, I mean, my favorite memories are usually just hanging out with like the crew in between takes and talking about film and creative ideas and um just it's always about like the future projects or what creative character can we really have fun with. And but again, there's not a lot of time, so it is a lot of like work, work, work. But I do work with some really awesome people on my team, and I do really love being around them too. So I love going back to my wardrobe truck and I like when it's calm and we can like talk to each other and enjoy each other's like company while we work. And I love to laugh, so it's always good like when we can like make each other laugh on these like long filming days.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I had a question. I'm trying to think. How big is your team? Like how many members are on your team and how do they what are their awards? How are they able to help you to achieve a good set of costume and with the costume prep and with the changes between the actors?
So my team ranges depending on the job. So like Spectacular, I think I had like 10 people. Biltmore, I think I had 7 or 8, depending on the day. We have a thing called a day player, which means if there's a day like the party scene in Biltmore where there's a lot of background, we bring in somebody just for that a day or two to help with that, but they're not on full time. Um, I work with some amazing people that have amazing experiences, so they really know what they're doing. So they know when they show up in the morning we organize things, we call it the rail, and it's on the left side, it starts like what's happening first in the day. And then as you go, it's each scene for the day. So they know you walk in, you get steaming, ironing, and then you bring it to people's trailers. Like I really am so proud, like when I don't even have to like talk in the morning, we can just do it. And I think that's like a sign of like a really great, well-oiled team. Obviously, I'm around for questions. You mentioned challenges before. There's always last minute like questions and challenges of someone's shoe doesn't fit like it used to, or an earring, like maybe they have an earring allergy. Um, or we lost the gloves. Like so many different things happen, especially on a movie like Biltmore and period. Like there's so many pieces of putting the hat on and the gloves and the stockings, and it's all the things. So, but yeah, it's me. I have an assistant costume designer. I have a wardrobe supervisor who runs the truck and the laundry and manages the whole team of costumers that get the actors dressed and are on set with them to make sure it looks the way it's supposed to and that it stays that way. And then we have production assistants who really help with a variety of things. And they run like on Biltmore are where we were getting ready in the house, we're 10 minutes away. So they were helping us run things back and forth. Um, and they help just, general organization. And then I have a team of tailors. I had almost 2 full-time on Biltmore. I had one full-time, one was there 90% of the time. And that's really important because on period movies, you have to alter it before, however you want to from the fitting, and then you have to alter it back before you send it back because it needs to be in its original condition. So that's always something labor-wise I have to think about.
Wow, that might be a challenge. I can't
Yeah,
imagine to take it something alternate and then when everything's over and you have to send it back, you have to alternate back to the original. So that
right. You can't cut anything. You have to fold it into like the side seams. And sometimes that is too much fabric. So sometimes you like just can't use a certain piece on a certain person.
wow, I never thought of that, but I was like thinking like the cartoon will be really good. They get bigger, 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 or smaller, smaller, and never back to
Right.
the
Yeah,
original size. Wow,
exactly.
that's interesting. That's something new I learned about the costume, but um, do you have a favorite costume? Like I know there's so many movies that but then you have like a I will give you top five favorite costumes.
That's a good one. First would be Christopher Lloyd's conductor uniform from Next Stop Christmas. I love that. The finale ball gown of Jenna Claire's from Radio City. I love that. Um, I loved everything Ava Hayward wore, but I did really, really love her train station look with the fur on the shoulder. Excuse me. Um, that's three. Four. Hmm. I really liked and Sugarplum Twist her we like kind of built that finale red ballet tutu dress. That was really cool. And then I want to say one of Lacey. Well, I guess Lacey and Scott's because we made Scott's kilt, which was fun because we don't get to make a lot of things. And then Lacey's gown, which was like made. So basically anything I get to make. But some of those were kind of made, kind of not. But yeah, I think that's a pretty good. There's always, one kind of like iconic look, and that's the one that's usually like on the poster.
Yeah, yeah, they are great. And I'm gonna admit something. I have not really fully 100% watched the holiday spectacular. So I'm gonna try to watch that sometime this week. I'll be like, okay, I see what Keith is talking about with all the costumes, but I've seen all the other movies. Um, let me think. I really enjoyed Mystic Christmas. Are you there? Like all of the costumes for the cast in Mystic Christmas, Chandler, Matthew, and Jesse Tram.
hmm Yeah, Mystic Christmas was I grew up in Connecticut where Mystic is, in case anybody didn't know. And that was really cool just because like I went to the aquarium as a kid and also there's a seal, but having I had just done Biltmore, so it was nice to do contemporary clothes and be able to, just run to the store if you need to because with period movies you can't just run to the store. You usually have to call New York or LA.
Yeah, like contemporary period and going back in time, like reality Christmas.
hmm
I was just so fascinated with how she like lost her Christmas spirit and everything just like black and white. I was like, what just happened? I was trying to figure out if it was the time period or just no color, no
No color.
shutdowns or anything. So how would that movie work with the costumes? I know they have filters or technology to make everything go black and white, and then all of a sudden a flash of red, flash of colors that come on the TV screen was really beautiful.
Yeah, that was different because certain colors in black and white they look better, certain shades look better than others. So usually the brighter the color, the better it looks in black and white. So there was some interesting color combinations happening. And then I had to make sure when they transformed into color that that was a colorful outfit that made sense in black and white and in color. And that was like a lot of the whole movie was special effects, and there was a lot of extra shots we had to get every single day. So that was a crew that I had worked with a bunch, and it was really helpful to be able to like pull that off in because again, we only have 3 weeks for these, so uh, it's a well-oiled machine, and if you don't make it, you don't finish the movie, and you need to finish the movie.
Yeah, for sure. Another thing about prop time and stuff, I know most movies shoot within 2 to 4 weeks, just depending on the like a time frame. Um, do you get information or I don't know if you actually get the script, but do you get the script or any synopsis of the movie beforehand and give you like you said you had 2 weeks to start for the Biltmore Christmas prop, your idea, your costume, your vision, and then you bring it to life.
Yeah, I get the script really early on, as early like usually once I'm hired. If I'm working with a new team that I haven't worked for, usually I'll get the script before I interview, and then that way I can share, my ideas, and we see if it's like a good working relationship. Um, and then there's always different drafts. I mean, I think Biltmore had at least 3 or 4 drafts. And yeah, but early on I had a synopsis before I had the script. And yeah, I mean that's all really where it starts is the writer. And then you get the locations and you get all these different other creative aspects, the art department with how they're going to decorate the space, and all of that informs one another. So I always have to pay attention to the houses we're filming in, like the house in Where Are You Christmas, there was all the walls were like beige, and some houses you film at will let you paint the wall if you paint it back. But that house wasn't willing to do that. So I had to make sure I couldn't put people in like whites or creams or beige because they were just gonna blend in. So which was fun because then I got to play like more color, but it was also good to know for the black and white sequences because if the wall's like white or cream, and then I'm putting them in something, it needs to have enough contrast. And I'm always thinking about what color the furniture is that the person's sitting in because they could just disappear if it's the same color, and we
They
don't
want
want
to
that.
be camouflaged. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
I'm wearing something enough. Yeah.
Yeah. And I usually always think about it at the last second, so then I might like swap two costumes. Um, but that's why I like to walk into filming with, I say between 90 and 95% of all the clothes in the room, because schedules change, ideas change. I might think one costume might work better here, so I swap it around. And that way I'm more available and on set to the actors and the crew and the director. Um, and otherwise I'd be, out shopping and not available.
To do that work together, obviously with the costume team, costume designer team, work with the prop team, like you mentioned, with the furniture, with whatever prop, like the hourglass, the couch, the chair, everything in that movie to make sure that the collage with the furniture and the background and the costume, well, that is
Yeah.
a challenge or most of part is oh, go with that.
It's not really a challenge, it's just good communication. It's really verbalizing and showing visual examples of your ideas. So everybody knows that like Keith in costumes understands that this sofa is this color, and really showing visual examples of that. I do work really closely with the props department, for things like eyeglasses. Like we'll talk out and collaborate on talking about a shape. Like, is it a cat eye? Is it a circle? Or like the tray that Lucy holds with the candy canes and like doing the strap. Like we
Yeah.
talked about that, and then painting it the same like cream because it goes with the stripe. So, or we don't shoot in sequence. So you show up one day and you're shooting scene 83, and then the next scene
Oh
you're
yeah,
shooting
it's
scene
all over
2.
the place. So sometimes we
Yeah,
do
so
that at the end, and then yeah, it's all over the place.
So, I with bags and like eyeglasses, I like the props department to track that continuity because my team has enough to do with all of the clothes for all the different days, which we do have definitive script days labeled on the schedule, which is really helpful, especially for costumes to track like day one, day two, day three, just to help keep it straight. I mean, on in the final edit, it doesn't really look that way, but you notice when they do and they don't change clothes, and that's your signifier of another day in the story.
Yeah. You always have the same team for every movie, or there are one person different, two person different, or you go from movie to movie, or it just depends on who's not on the movie, but who's in the movie, or who's part of the movie with costume, who have the same team, or that are varied depending on the movie and the project itself.
It depends on a lot of stuff. I would love to like bring like at least 3 or 4 people from my team to everywhere. It just depends on location. Like I can't bring everybody to Scotland for Mary Scottish. It also depends on availability. They have other network connections that they've worked with, and they have other opportunities that maybe like 6 months ago they were asked to be a part of a movie and they committed to it, but like my movie fit in right before. So it depends on a lot of things. Sometimes actors, not really on Hallmarks, I haven't seen, but some actors have personal hair and makeup, so like that affects things, or they'll have a personal costumer, somebody that they're comfortable with being dressed by. So it varies. But yeah, I mean, the dream would be I just have like back to back to back jobs and keep like the same people because you get a good rhythm going and you get to know each other and like we are like I work with a lot of the same producers a lot, which is awesome because like we have a good rhythm and a good trust there because I am managing like large amounts of like budget money and like labor money and that can easily get out of hand. So like you definitely want to have people you trust around you, and I love to have people on my team that like hold me accountable and like keep me on track because I think it's one person can only do so many things. So the team is really important and they make it all happen. And I just run around like a crazy person.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite location? Do you have a favorite filming location that would you able, if you have a favorite location, whatever movie you did, I'm pretty sure it's been Scottish Christmas because you get to go to Scotland or Ireland. Do you have like some time in between, or do you have like a day here or there where you could just like go enjoy doing stuff in the meantime while the movie pretty film, well not while the movie pretty filmed, but like on off days?
Yeah, it's so funny. Some people don't realize that we work like a pretty normal schedule, like 5 days a week. So we do have 2 days off. And I did love the team in Ireland because they have a better work-life balance than we do. And on the weekends, like they were really excited to show us all around. So, I mean, I saw so many different coastlines of Ireland, the countryside, their tiny little roads. I stayed in
Mm-hmm.
one of the cast, two of the castles. No, one of the castles we filmed in. I stayed in another castle. It was like wild. Um, so yeah, Ireland and Scotland was really cool, and also just seeing how people, excuse me, ooh, dust. Seeing how people work in different countries is always interesting too. Um, yeah, again, I'm biased. I think I get all the cool ones, and like Biltmore was really cool too.
Nice, yeah, because I have not gone to the Biltmore Estate Cup, but after watching the movie and hearing about it, I'm gonna make sure I go there next year. And of course, on my bucket list to go to Ireland because I like the countryside. I know the roads are so small, but it seems like a better life than the USA, and it's very quaint, very humble, very I don't know, just homey to me. But so I've seen a couple of movies that were filmed in Ireland, and I was like, really? Or in Greece at the
I'd
main,
love to go to Greece. That sounds great to me.
not for sure. Um, we have plenty of time, so I should take some on the spot questions. Do you have a dream? Do you have like a dream job or like a dream movie or some kind of like what your idea of any costume, any time period, or any story plot or movie idea that you hope to make it happen between now or the future?
Yeah, I mean, I have a bucket list of a lot of things I want to do. I want to do a musical and I want to do it on stage first and then adapt it to film. I think that's really interesting to me. I want to do a Civil War movie, lots of like gowns and things. That sounds really fun. I also really want to do like a queer love story in like World War II. Yeah, I do really like period things. I guess I found that love in theater. And I also think it's like an interesting challenge. I think I love military style and how it's influenced other elements of style. Um, and on like big military movies, you usually have an assistant designer just to focus on the uniforms. So, I think that would be really interesting to like delegate and also like research wise. I mean, my dream would be to do some like awesome movie where I get like 3 months to prep it and you get to like really, really creatively explore and you have like a team of people that will like make you whatever you dream of and I can sketch something and throw it to somebody with some fabric and they make it in like a day. I mean, it's just that's just so rare these days. I just have such a love for the old Hollywood and like I mean they used to make everything. Like they just made it. They didn't buy it. And now most of our days are spent shopping or I'm finding things that have the bones of what I'm looking for that I can just add a different skirt to. So it would be really cool to do like a really high budget period piece. Um, and I would like to do it both ways. I'd love to do like a historically accurate way, and then I also would love to do like a high concept interpretation of it. Like that it's somewhat inspired by other elements of fashion, and there's like kind of like no rules. It's really fun when you get to play in like the fairy tale no rules world because it can just go any way. I like both sides. I like the rules and like the specificity of like military uniforms, but I also like the freedom of not having those boundaries.
Yeah, yeah, the military. I mean, I like military movies, and I like war movies. It just depends on the time period. Like the movie, historical movies like Titanic
Mhm.
or Pearl Harbor. I watch a lot of movies. I'm like, keep it off in my head. And I just like amazed how detailed their costumes are from that time period or a replica of a cartoon, though I'm familiar on board with all the cartoon designers from all these movies, but to have a specific cartoon designer or team that you really I want to work with him or her on them and create a movie like you said on your bucket list. A war movie, a historical movie, a queer love story within the wartime.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of different people I'd love to work with. And they all have like different styles, which is also something I'm always thinking about. Like, what's like my signature style? Like Sandy Powell, who did like Cinderella and Wolf of Wall Street and like Shutter Island and Gangs of New York. Like, she's very known for like her color and like her fabric choices. So I'm always like interested in like those people's like signature. And all of those people really have great, like I was talking about relationships for. They have great relationships with their directors, and you know they kind of travel around in like a little pod, and like create together, which I think is like really cool. I think there's so many awesome, amazing, talented people that we can all learn from creatively. Um, and like before I do my great big World War whatever movie, like do want to go work with some of those people to like learn how you run a department of that size, because like you can have teams of like 30 to 100 people in costumes and you have a warehouse of like clothes from all over the world and it's a logistical beast to learn, which is like very different. I have like larger scale things and I manage a lot of people, but I mean it's very different to have a head designer and like 10 assistant designers and 20 tailors. Like it's a scheduling nightmare, I imagine.
Yeah, eventually, hopefully, we will get there and you will have all of that team in your future for movies or movies outside of Hallmark. Or do like just like specifically Hallmark, or do like branch out different networks with the costume designing?
I've worked for a bunch of different networks. I work
Okay.
freelance. I'm not contracted just for Hallmark. We have a really great relationship. I'm excited to do some movies for them in the future. But yeah, I work freelance and I'm always open to other opportunities. I've done a couple thriller movies. Um, and I started in TV in like a show called Quantico on ABC and Mozart in the Jungle. So yeah, I definitely have other things on my resume, but I have been known now to do like Hallmark Christmas pretty well, I think.
You have any future projects? I know you mentioned right now you're more into dinner, but no movie in the work yet because I know everybody just like literally got off the writer strike, the actor strike, and going back to work. So any like future project, if you can't talk about it, that's totally fine with me.
I hope so. But nothing official. I actually, a friend of mine told me, don't believe it until your feet are planted on the ground, and she's right, because there's so many factors that go into the movie business, and you don't really know until you're there and doing it. So yeah, I'm fingers crossed. I hope next year is awesome. Um, After coming off of those strikes, I would love to be very, very busy. Um, but to be determined. I mean, I was talking with an actress I worked with a while ago, and she always was like, just you're always waiting for the phone call, and your whole like career and your day can just like turn around. So it's like, yeah, I've been waiting for this phone call for like 6 months. I'm like, where's my phone call? But I'm optimistic, and we'll see. Hopefully soon.
Yeah, hopefully soon. That I agree. Um, well, we have like 15 minutes left. So is there anything you wanna like share away or add?
Sure. Something I think I could have dug into a little more was the organization of all the background costumes. Because on Spectacular we had about 750 background, and on Biltmore I think it was like 350. And every day they come in and my team gets them ready and them looking really great. We're really proud of the background on Biltmore, and they are fully accessorized just like any other leading character. And it really helps to, elevate the entire film. We've been getting a lot of comments that like Biltmore looks like a real film, which is nice. Um, Not that I mean Hallmark films are real films. I don't understand where that comes from, but um yeah, it's I don't know. I just talk about my team all the time because it's like it's so nice to be around like creative, supportive people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was telling like I had a few guests on my podcast before I went off to Christmas Con, and it was Andrew Walker. He was
Hmm.
like, haven't seen the Biltmore Christmas Con. I was like, I've seen it about 9 times. He was like, what? Really? I was like, you need to have a movie night with the wife and be apple and peanut butter, whatever you do, and watch that movie, and shit like, really that good? I'm like, yeah. The Baltimore Christmas is literally your three white men and a baby this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like number one Christmas movie for me because of the storyline, the plot, the cast, the costume, everything. I can't just think about it. I watched it again this morning. I was just like,
It's fun. That was fun too because I get the color world and the black and white world and like old film looking black and white. Um, I know, and a lot of people I think were worried that it was overhyped and it was gonna be, a letdown. So I'm really glad that all the love for it. I mean, I want to do another movie at Biltmore. I think it'd be really cool. It was really cool being in a historical space like that with like nobody else around, just like the film crew, to really like take it in. And even though it's such a big house, you still like feel like you can just like crawl up on the couch next to the fireplace because they have like a million fireplaces. Like where the costume display was, there's like three fireplaces just in that hallway. And then there's like another one right around the corner in like the library. But so yeah, I mean, there's actually I think something artistically to learn there too, is that it even though it's so big and so grand, it can still feel like warm and comfortable and cozy. Um, and that was really like important too because the colors in that house and like the wood is like very warm and like cozy feeling. And like I picked up with that with like the color choices of like the clothing. So there's all these subconscious choices you're always making as like creatives. But yeah, it was interesting too because I think that was the first movie I did, yeah, where like the name of like an iconic place was in the title. So um it wasn't Biltmore pretending to be another house. So that was interesting history to dig into too. And also I love that era that that house was built, which was the Gilded Age of like 1895. Which it was just crazy. The fashion in that era was just like wild. And yeah, I don't know. I just went on a total tangent. Hmm.
Yeah, that band, the Gilton Age and the Gilton area is like more flashy, more Biltmore Christmassy, all of that. So yeah, once I saw the movie poster and once I learned that they were filming Biltmore Christmas down in Biltmore, I was like, hmm. Everybody was like, this is gonna be the movie, this is gonna be the movie. I was like, okay, the time they're ready, so anticipating already for the Biltmore Christmas to be released. And then when the time gets close, I'm like, finally, the movie is here. After watching that movie, I will watch it again. It was just really amazing. I shared with the director, I shared with Kurt Palaha, and whoever did that movie. I was like, outstanding. You played your character, were you were exactly made for the part. I can't even explain it. They were like, thank you. Yeah, it was like, whole time I'm still watching it like I'm never gonna get sick of it. Same
Well,
concept with the next Christmas and where all do Christmas. I kind of like the theme of the movie, like black and white, and then going to color or going back into time, and that was just beautiful. All three movies, beautiful storyline, beautiful cast, and the acting and the turnout of the movie as well as for your cartoons.
yeah, it's all the different departments, I think, that it really makes the difference. We all have to be strong and it all has to combine and come together. It's like a puzzle, and then if one puzzle piece doesn't fit, it just doesn't really work. Um, it's funny you talk about waiting and waiting and waiting. I was there and I was still like waiting for it to come out. Um, because I don't know, I knew everybody was gonna love it. And also with any of my movies, like I want to talk about it with like people like you and enjoy like the joy it provides to people. That's really fun for me to see people's reactions, good, bad, and indifferent. Not everybody's gonna love everything. I remind myself all the time because like certain people don't like certain pieces I choose, but that's, being human and human perception and people perceive things, even garments, differently. But yeah, I relieved when it came out and I could finally talk about it.
Yeah. My two favorite, my three favorite cartoons of the Baltimore Christmas. Whatever Jack could put a Harvard wearing, whatever is just perfect. With Bethany Joyland, I liked her candy strip cartoon with the train. Hilarious. And how she and Jack like met each other or whatever. And the end of the movie, of course, that down for the Christmas ball. So anything Jack wears and those two things that Bethany Joyland beautiful. And it just fits the character well in her and of course the time period.
Yeah, well, that dress was, well, two things. That necklace is actually my own necklace. And it got there in the nick of time. And I like you pointed out the back of the dress before when she's like running to the truck. You can see it actually, the silhouette of it mimics a Victorian Gilded Age era bustle, which was really important to me because I wanted to give that little nod to the history of the house. Again, not that anybody watching probably noticed that, but that's like one of those things that I was really passionate about making sure that that was there. Because I think that it's all in the details, and you more like if you focus on little details, they build up and they make a big impression. So it's a bunch of small things that together make an impression.
Yeah. I I mean, that all of the questions or the comments or things I wanted to say and ask to share with you tonight. So, if you have any questions for me before we wrap it up for the night, I'm open.
I don't think so. You had some really great questions because I've done this a bunch this year, and appreciate like different angle on a question. So thank you, and thank you for your love of our movies. I hope we get to do it again next year. Um, yeah, I mean, it was a great holiday season. I know it's always the thing about Christmas is like we get to it and then it's always just looking forward to next year and also now working in this genre, even more so for me. But thank you so much for having me. A pleasure.
No problem. I'm happy to have you tonight. I'm like so busy with the Christmas holidays and the countdown to Christmas. Great movie during the weekend, not so great movies. And then when I realized that the number of movies after A Miracle in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, really no new movies. I have to go back to the first weekend of Countdown to Christmas and pick my top two and watch it all again. Christmas and Hallmark is just everything for me. My escape. I come home from work, I watch Hallmark. Or I do something. My husband's like, really? I don't know. Yeah, really.
Did you watch all of the Countdown to Christmas
Oh,
movies
yes,
this year?
I did. I
Every
did
single
not.
one?
Yes, I did. I watched all the countdown of Christmas movies, and I do a review. I go on my Instagram account, the Cast Share podcast on Instagram. I will do my ranking 1 to 5, 1 star, 5 stars. But I did not do the countdown to Christmas movie during Christmas time because I was there. So I was like, I have to watch 4 movies. There's 4 new movies coming up. Given week, 8 movies. So I
Yeah,
want
that's a
to
lot.
do that. So I asked my people, I asked my friends, should I do all 8? And we do all 8 or 4 week 4. Then I can't. Don't kill yourself.
Yeah,
For
don't.
week 4. But it's really fun and nice to interact with all my friends and my followers about on the movies or the rankings. So most of the time we pretty much the same with the movies and the rankings. Some movies they like and I was like, okay, yeah, good movies. My kind of movie, no, but that's your kind of movie, that's fine. Like everybody was raving about Never Been Quit with Shania Parrish and Tyler. I liked that movie because there was a different perspective, but it did not bother me that he didn't have a lot of screen time that it bothered other people out there. Don't like different perspective
Yeah.
with the character that helped the two girls rekindle the friendship or go back to high school drama and then move on. That's okay. I mean, yeah, I would love to have about 90% of the movie, but it doesn't always work that way.
Yeah, I mean that's I always remind people you're not gonna love everything out there, but I think there's at least there's some for you too. And that's okay. Um, and I think the stories are getting different every year and more creative, which is really fun. Because there's been a lot of them. So, you got to mix it up. And fingers crossed I still get the cool ones.
Yeah, well, thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for working out the time to come on the Cat Chat podcast. And I wish you nothing but the best for amazing opportunity for movie, dinner, check off one of your bucket list items, and I hope you have a great, happy new year.
Thank you, you too. Thanks again.
Have a great night, Keith.
You too. Bye.
Bye.